Simulators have become one of the biggest genres on Roblox, with a wide range of different ideas and game loops that keep people hooked for as long as possible. How did simulators evolve from its beginning to what it is now? This is the entire history of simulator games. Now, early examples of simulator games are as you would think simulators are. That being in the definition of simulating how something works or involving the player doing some actions based on that simulation as well. With one of the first examples I can find from 2007, Space Exploration or RASA Rocket by Mr. Doombringer, who was an admin for the website. This game is very simple in modern terms, but back then it was quite complex, with a rocket that would fly up to this plane in the sky. Due to the changes of Roblox over the years, most of the scripts for this game are broken, so now it's more of a showcase if anything, so no part of the game works at all. At least the rocket ship does look really nice. Then in 2008, some more simulator games would come out, with the first being Camping Simulator by R92, created on the 20th of March 2008. This game is simple. It's a trip down to the lake with your own camper van, axe and fishing rod. Though some aspects of this game are broken, that being most of the tools and the spawn, which makes you glued to the van, but it's easily fixed just by resetting your character. Then on the other side of the lake, there is a shop where you can buy stuff for your campsite, which the items are broken due to them being tools, but at least the axe still works, so you can gain cash to buy items in the shop. Overall, this game is quite nice and relaxing, with a really cool day and night cycle to feel like you're just chilling by the lake for a few days. Then 2 days later, another simulator would come out by Robot56, Row Ship Simulator, but originally when the game came out, it was called The Longest Journey Underground Railroad, which was just a simple game of hopping onto a train and flying down the track, then going into another train to do the same thing. The premise of the game is quite simple and could also be technically classed as a simulator, as it was using trains which at the time were quite common around this time, like Train Riders RPG by Uber being made 2 months earlier, but this game is more of a role-playing game with more features around it rather than having the trains as its standalone thing. Now the game is currently something different, where you drive around a massive ocean in some nice boats with a few different boat designs and a few islands you can spawn onto, and then this monster you can drive up to is quite weird to say the least. Then lastly, on the 22nd of September 2008, a game called Season and Weather Simulator would come out by Lando64000, who you might know as the maker of Lumium Legacy. This game is very simple, with it showcasing 4 areas: spring that has this really cool fire effect, then one that has just got rain pouring down, then another that is showcasing falling leaves of autumn, and lastly winter, where everything is covered in snow and with some falling snow coming down from the sky. Overall, this game is, as described, very simple, but also it's very relaxing to chill out in, simulating some of the weather changes throughout the year and the nice fire effects just to sit there and watch over time. The same continues in 2009, with more simulator games, with another by Robot56 called Transportation Simulator V1 on the 17th of July 2009. Loading into the game, you can spawn in a few different areas with different modes of transportations like cars and trains, with a few different selections for each mode of transportation. Now when I was playing this game, a lot of the vehicles were moving slow, even when going at the max speed possible. Now this could be just how it was back then, or the app I was using called Novetus, which is a great way to simulate old Roblox from 2006 to 2011, and makes all games work as intended. Either way, it was still a pretty fun experience to see the different modes of transportation this game had to offer and explore the world, which it happened to be quite big. Then another simulator by the name of Tornado Alley would come out by One Billy Bob 1. It gathered 19.4 million visits over its lifespan before moving over to a new modern game. This game is very cool, as it's a simulation of tornadoes on various different maps with some added on lore in form of radio voices. You can see prompting telling you what's about to occur. But when the tornado spawns, the game gets so laggy with so many parts flying around the map, and if you get close, it's a fast way to get to the moon, that's for sure. I would like to note that I did find early examples of games with tornadoes, like one by Clockwork from 2008, but the problem with this is that it's fully broken, and I can guess it would have worked something similar to this, but even on Novetus, the weapon didn't want to work at all, and on actual Roblox the game is just fully broken. But both games are very cool, with Tornado Alley feeling like some sort of mini game, like one of the games mentioned in this video that would do a similar thing, featuring a lot more natural disasters. In 2010, I couldn't find many examples like what I have shown so far, but there are more things that could be classed as a simulator, like this game called My Real House by the Earthbound, created on the 15th of February 2010, gathering 500,000 visits. Like what the name states, this is a creation of a house in a suburb, and honestly it's really cool, and I love how they used some Roblox hats as a part of the build, like the Olympian rings for door handles. Then in one of the closets, there was this secret area that leads down to the basement with nothing in it, so I wonder why it was placed there. Overall, this game has a nice level of detail with working objects like opening up a fridge and turning on and off the water in the bathrooms. Overall, a solid house, would live here, and an overall nice neighbourhood as well. Then another game in a similar style to this called Project Half-Life by Sabby Wabby, releasing on the 28th of April 2010, gathering 160,000 visits over the years it's been open. Like the name suggests, this game is a recreation of the first Half-Life game, with cutscenes and even NPCs interacting with Gordon, or, well, you in this case, as you go by them, even directing you even in the right path, with these speech bubbles feeling like you're just playing the first Half-Life game, but more blocky, which is a really cool project, and I think it is an awesome classic game. Lastly, how about another space simulation game called Ride a Rocket to the ISS or Moon by Addicting, with it being created on the 8th of June 2010 and gathering 740,000 visits. For the most part, this game works really well, other than some visual bugs with the ground using pictures I believe with transparent objects, so it flickers from being visible to invisible, which is really annoying as it happens very frequently. And one of the rockets doesn't work, and the other one does, but you can't enter the moon due to the spacesuit being anchored to the world, meaning instead of getting a spacesuit onto your character so you can explore the moon, you get sent to where it's located and stuck as you're unable to move and can only just reset out of it. Overall, the parts that work in this game are cool, like watching the rocket fly into space, then break apart and have the shuttle land down onto the moon, and then get sent into an unknown area shortly after due to broken parts of the game. In 2011, one of the first simulators would come out, Drive Blocks Unlimited by Need for Speed Boy on the 21st of May 2011, with it gathering 11.7 million visits over the years of it being out. This game was ahead of its time, with the premise being you drive cars to gain cash, to then buy better looking cars that will give you more cash, which then you can buy a house that will generate more cash, to then buy a more luxurious house which will give you more cash as well. Most of the fun had in this game is via racing with other people to see who has the fastest car, or just to drive laps around the game and just explore the city that it had to offer. Other than that, there is a cool remake of this game with more cars and a bigger map that is still getting updates to this day. If you're missing this classic game, I want something that's a bit more modern that was officially endorsed by the creator of the original game as well. But as it stands, Drive Blocks could be considered one of the first modern simulators, as in the sense of it being more in terms of the style of the game and not in terms of how many game passes it has and how much pay to win it is. Remember when I was hinting about a game revolving around natural disasters earlier in the video? Well, this is the game, Natural Disaster Survival by Stickmaster Luke, that came out around sometime in 2012 with the earliest saved picture from then. This game has been a smash hit, with it gathering 2.9 billion visits, with 11,000 concurrent players on at once. What has made this game so fun, and how can it be classed as a simulator? Let's start with the fun level, as it's simple with it being more of a party game, as you spawn into an island with a randomly generated map on top, and then a randomly generated natural disaster from a list containing fires, blizzards, thunderstorms, meteor showers, and even the plague, to list a few, and then see who is able to survive the event or perish from the attack. This gameplay loop is simple, but it hooked people on for ages, as it is a great game for a few of your friends to play, as the disasters are really funny sometimes, like the tornado, sending parts flying into the sky, or other people if they come into contact with it. Then this feeds back into the simulator part, as I was talking about, other than some disasters that are not so serious, like the acid rain, unless you live in a science lab and a beaker flies into the air. Overall, this is a very fun game to play on Roblox to pass some time with friends, as it's simple with its gameplay loop of spawn on a randomly generated island and survive a disaster, but that in itself doesn't get old, and that's the reason this game has kept alive through the years. Lastly, for 2012, there was Pilot Training Flight Simulator by Orange12345, with it gathering 380 million visits and still gathering 2,000 concurrent players from the developer's constant updates to this game. For a free game that isn't pay to win, it's awesome, as you have a wide selection of aircrafts you can choose from, with a commercial plane or even a military aircraft. Then the flying part is complex, with every part of it thought of, although I am not too good, as when I went to try and land the plane I crashed into a rock and got stuck, but thankfully the next couple of tries I got the hang of it and landed it smoothly. Overall, this game is really fun and realistic, feeling like you're controlling this aircraft that is flying through the sky, and this could even rival games such as Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is a paid game that pilots do use, but the main advantage this game has is that it's free and accessible to everyone, so they can give it a try and see if they're good at flying aircrafts, or just crash land like I did. Skipping to 2014, this is one of the first genuine modern simulators I could find, called Mow My Lawn by Big_Rigs, with it being created on the 14th of May 2013 and then releasing sometime around in February 2014. The game has gathered 9.4 million visits over its lifespan and has a cult following, with the dev actively updating this game for the players that have stuck around. So then, how is this game similar to the popular simulators you see these days? Well, it's due to its game loop of it being cut grass to then afford a more expensive mower with the trimmings you get, and then rinse and repeat, which ties into the repetitiveness of modern simulators of repeating something and then going to a new stage and doing it all again. In this game though, there are some more features like bosses, which are hard to kill but do reward you with better equipment as a trade-off for winning the fight. Then there's also a lot of secrets you can find around spawn, which is really cool, with one of them leads you to the Xenos, which are an alien species that sell you items for gold, but to get there you have to cross this parkour course, but I failed it quite a lot. Overall, for one of the first modern simulator games, I thought it was fun, but the game can get a bit slow at sometimes, even with the random boss spawns, which do spice up the game other than just cutting grass. These bosses also do help towards getting more trimmings by giving you multipliers that help you get more trimmings, but I find playing in short bursts of time more enjoyable than over a long period of time on this game. In 2015, a game would come out that would inspire one of the major modern simulators that started the trend. This game was called the Roblox Gym by Mew903, created sometime around May 31st, 2014. As that's when the first saved screenshot was from, and looking from the profile save in 2013, I can't see anything related to it, so it is safe to assume it was made around that time. This game is, as described, a gym with your own stats to tell you how much you can do on each equipment, which I can't seem to get to work other than the pull-ups, which is satisfying to look at my characters doing some pull-ups and then stop. And then the treadmill, which is fairly easy, just hold down W and you're good. But the bench press, deadlift and push-ups all require weights, and my character is set at 0, which means he can't do any, so even when he tries to do one, he just tries to do a tiny bit and then runs out of energy, and then never just gains it back. Conceptually, I think this game is really cool, and how it worked was quite fascinating, which another person would think the same way and would be inspired to take it and change it up into something completely new, which will be shown later on in the video. Then there's this. Yeah, look, I'll be real, I'm gonna skip over this one, as I think the game itself is really cool and fun, but the choices from the developer at a developer conference was quite out there. That got him arrested and banned from Roblox, and almost even got the event shut down due to this issue alone, so out of respect, I'll just not say much about this game other than that it's really good and felt like a more updated version of Roblox Unlimited, to sum it up in a short sentence. Lastly, there was Tornado Simulator by Alexander, releasing sometime before the 24th of October 2015, as that's when the first archived screenshot was taken of the game. And there was already some visits on the game, so it could have been created sometime closer to the day or sometime in between, so it's hard to really gauge on this one. Over the years, this game got a lot of visits, with it racking up 11.7 million visits, with it still having a small cult following, continuing to even play the game through the years without it receiving any updates whatsoever. The game itself is honestly quite basic, but the main part of the game is really fun, with it being a storm shooting down lightning before the tornado forms, and when it does, that's when the real fun happens, as when you watch it speed up and then edge towards a town, then start to destroy houses and then knock off neighborhoods' power, and then it starts to get faster and faster to the point where if you drive your car fast enough into it, you get flung into the air and you just see your car just split open into pieces, and I always loved just seeing that happen. And then also my character gets also snapped in half, but that's also a part of the fun as well. In 2017, a sequel to a simulation game will be made called Car Crushers, with the first one releasing sometime around the 10th of August 2015, from when the first archive screenshot was taken, and looking at how many visits the game got as well. The reason why these are grouped together is the first game was really good, with a nice selection of cars, a small list of crushers to sit there and watch your car get thrashed from the power of the selected crusher, but the second game did everything the first game did, but even better, with more stuff to do like racing and even PvP to destroy other people's cars, and most importantly, saving, as for some reason saving wasn't in the first game, unless it was and my account never saved. The second game also improves on the selection of cars, with it adding a lot more of a selection and also upping the detail of each model and allowing for customization of the chosen car as well. Then the selection of crushers, with it being quadrupled from the first game, some being locked behind game passes and some being locked behind progression from the amount of parts you have destroyed. Overall, both games are really fun and satisfying to sit there and watch your car get pulverized by your chosen crushing method, and it doesn't get old whatsoever, and if it does, there are still more activities you can do in the game until you feel the urge to destroy your car once again. Also in this year, there was one game that would become iconic in the simulator genre called Weightlifting Simulator, with the first one I could find being 2 for some odd reason. The game itself is, well, I'll be real, very slow, and I don't think some of the equipment even works other than the treadmill, which I can see the movement bar going up, but other than that, the weight gain is pretty slow, and from when I was playing, I do think it was quite cool seeing the progression from your character getting stronger, just like how the Roblox gym did, but this time more visible in terms of your growth. I should also mention, this game was stolen from another creator known as Axewall, being the original creator of the game, which Avectus, the person who stole it, added more equipment, a statue, a new area for people to go to once they get past a certain weight limit, and that's about it, and the rest is all by Axewall. Then the third game skyrocketed the genre to where it is today, with it gathering 1 billion visits over the time it was popular. This game was a major step up from the one before, with more ways for you to get stronger with sit-ups and push-ups, and this time the equipment you see around the map actually works to get your character even bigger than you were before. But the best feature of this game that gave it its replayability was the rebirth feature, as it reset your character's stats, sure, but in return you get a buff to get back to that level even faster, to then even make your character stronger than it was before in the long run. The updates for this game were short-lived, as the main developer for this game ended up getting terminated off Roblox, but this isn't the end for the developer, as they would return to Roblox again under the name Script Robloxian to create more simulator games and better version of his previous works such as Legend of Speed, Muscle Legends and Ninja Legends, with each game gathering over 1,000 concurrent players, generating them and their studio members thousands of Robux each day, and with constant updates to this game, they will be around for a long time. The next year, more major simulators would come out, with the first being Mining Simulator on the 10th of February 2018 by Rumble Studios, with it gathering 800 million visits, with it still getting 300 concurrent players without it getting updated in years. The game itself is very cartoonish, with it being a simple dig game with a backpack space that gets full quite fast, but has to be emptied for cash to then buy better gear and then dig again, with the main dig feature reminding me of Epic Mining 2, which is more of a realistic style, and Azure Mines, which is also the same. What I like about this game is the variety of ores, which are worth different amounts, and different areas you can go to and dig, with some being restricted by rebirthing, which just help the game last longer and keep people grinding to the final stage. Lastly, this last feature is important. This game introduced eggs, but in a clever way. These eggs, when open, give you a pet that gives you better stats when you're mining, but to crack it open you have to mine a certain amount until it's satisfied. This one feature would inspire someone to make a whole game about it, and it would become a major series. That game would be Pet Simulator, coming out on the 4th of August 2018, and it would be a smash hit, with it gathering 1.1 billion visits. The game itself is simple: open up eggs to get pets, to then mine coins, which all have different amounts of money and strength, to then be able to open up more eggs to hopefully get better pets, and repeat until you can go to the new area. This in and of itself is a cool idea, but I do find it quite slow by how far everything is spaced out, making it quite the grind to reach that new area. This one feature would help with the game's growth, allowing people to trade with other players for rare pets and obtainable items that wouldn't be possible without it. This one game would put building the games on the map, with a development team and a whole series based on this one game, with the latest installment doing everything that made the liked games in the series good and amplified it, while keeping it in a very cartoonish look, improving heavily on what the first game did, making it more engaging for new people to get hooked onto it. Lastly, for 2018, there was Bee Swarm Simulator, created on the 21st of March 2018, with it gathering 2.1 billion visits and having 20,000 concurrent players on at once. The game itself is very simple, working in a similar way to Pet Simulator, with you open up eggs to get these bees of different rarities to help you farm the fields to get more pollen that can be converted into honey. These bees can also drop a special ability that gives you more pollen and attack enemies protecting that field. This game is very relaxing to play, with being in a cartoonish style, but it ties into that with its choice of special effects, being that of a similar style to the game, and it's not overly complex, making it easy to get into, and if you're stuck, there are a lot of quests to get stuck into to gain more items to help you progress to the next area in the game. In 2019, one of my favourite simulators would come out, that being Destruction Simulator by Silky Dev, with it gathering 500 million visits and still gathering 500 concurrent players on at once. As the name suggests, you blow up different structures with your explosive weapons and get rewarded in blown up parts that can be exchanged for money to buy better equipment, similar to how Mining Simulator does it. There are a wide selection of classic structures and also some more modern designs, all locked behind levels that can be gained by playing the game or skipping to that level by paying Robux. Overall, this game is really fun to sit and blow up some buildings and watch it tumble down into pieces, as it feels like classic Roblox, as that was a main part of all games by just destroying it and letting the physics engine rain down broken parts onto players. Lastly, for 2019, there is Fishing Simulator by Cloud Entertainment, with it gathering 400 million visits and a constant 2,000 concurrent players on at once. This game is awesome. Who doesn't love fishing as you sit there by the shore with your rod casted into the ocean, hopefully to reel in a fish, which that in itself has a little mini game, with the more common fish being easier to catch and the rarer ones being more sped up to make it harder to catch them. When you do catch a fish, it can be in a few different sizes, which can also affect the price of how much it sells for. What this game does well is in the areas you can explore, with some being locked behind progression and some areas you can get into by completing a quest to then get more pricier fish to upgrade your gear via crates and eggs to hopefully get a better rod to increase your stats, or a better pet which will do the same as well. Overall, if you don't know what to play, give this one a try, as it is fun and very relaxing to sit and fish with some rare time events that will give you better stuff and different islands to explore. It will provide you a lot of hours of fun or relaxation. Then there's even whole groups dedicated to pumping out simulators, with groups such as HD Games, Proto Games, TPC Simulators, and then The Gang, to name a few, and a few even having just one simulator game like Man of the Year, Tetra Games, Nosny Games, OOP Studio, showing that this genre has become massive and everyone feels the need to jump on board to make a game like it to entice people to join and spend a long time playing their spin on the genre. Simulators over the years have evolved since its inception from simply recreating an action, or let's say a job or a feature, into a Roblox game, and then evolve into something more cartoonish version that is loosely based on something, with more emphasis on making it slow paced and in some cases more engaging so people can play longer and spend more money on the game, with some having a lot of stuff you can purchase for a ridiculous price. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you have any other suggestions, then feel free to leave them down in the comments. Check out my Discord server as I'm trying to build a community over there, and also check out my join page if you wish to support the content I make. And with that being said, I'll see you some other time.